I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. I'm gonna make a difference. I'm gonna make it right. I've been a victim of a selfish kind of love. It's time that I realize. I see the kids in the street without enough to eat. Could it be really me pretending not to see their needs? A summer's disregard, a broken bottle top, and a washed out dream. They follow each other on the wind, you see, 'cause they got no place to be. That's why I'm starting with we. That's why I'm starting with We United. And that's why I'm starting with me. Everyone say that. I'm starting with me. I'm starting with me. And when you say that, when you truly believe it in your essence, in your heart, you have to know that the word start is a powerful word, correct? And some of you celebrated a start last week. Some of you celebrate Rosh Hashanah. Some of you will be celebrating another new year in 3 months at the end of December. But I'm here to remind you that you can start with every day of the dawn, right? Who was up early this morning doing your morning walk? Bless you, right? You can start every day. And if you're going to truly start correctly for this next season of your life, it's very important that you start with this. I told you 2 years ago to do it. I'm going to tell you to do it again. Everyone kiss your brain. Mwah. I am here to reintroduce you to your brain and give you new things to think about. And I need a timer. I want to make sure I'm well on time. So I'm always particular about that. I want to let you know about this beautiful organ you have. Have you fallen in love with it? Everyone say, I love my brain. It is who you are. It houses your identity, your memories. It helps you recognize the people you love and be flexible in the different situations that come at you day to day. We don't pay enough attention to this beautiful organ until something goes wrong, right? And so now, as you go through your time today, you go through your sessions, I want you to really think about this. Let me reintroduce you to your brain. About 3 pounds, 2% of your body weight. It consumes about 20% of your body's metabolic energy. This is a hungry machine, right? And it also is always on, even when you are sleeping. It has about 87 billion neurons, and each neuron could have about 5 connections, up to 50,000 connections. It's up to you on how you want to connect it. That amount is up to you. But I'm also here to say that as women, it's really important for us to take this organ to mind as you move forward in your personal life, your professional life, your social life, because our brains are under attack. And sadly, the research on our brains hasn't been too impressive. If this is all of the neuroscience research on women's brains, you think that it would be what? Half, right? Because we're half the population, actually a little bit more than half. It's actually not even that. It's this. 0.05% of the studies have been done on the female brain. And now, with the neuroscience blowing up, we're finally getting what we need. And I have a whole list of resources for you because I know you are my researchers bunch. And there's another thing that I also want to bring up as we talk about your curiosity, your creativity is, does anyone know the M word I'm about to say that deals with women? Yes, I heard some people talking about it last night. She was like, can we talk about something else, please? Right? I was like, you wait till tomorrow. Does anyone know any other animal that goes through the menopause? Anyone? Say it loud. Okay. Come see me after class. All right. You have your orcas, and then you have your blue whales, right? And your elephants. And of course, humans. Do you know why they go through menopause? Here's something to have you think about it. Childbirth is very dangerous. It's a very dangerous act. And so we go through menopause because the next generation, they need you. Have you ever thought about that? If you look at the structures, I study a lot about nature, a lot of whales and orcas and elephants, they're a matriarchal type of system. A lot of the grandmothers lead the pack. And so I saw a researcher talk about that, and he said, women, you go through menopause because the next generation and the next generation, they need you. And that's why your body says childbirth is too dangerous to continue for 90 years. So think about that, right? We're all about reframing. People who want to think creatively, they know how to reframe. And so this isn't as talk about menopause, so don't worry about that. I do have some links for you in the resource packet that I'm giving you. But part of your purpose is to pass it on, is to pass on your wisdom, is to pass on and I know there's mentor circles here, right? Think about that. This is a part of why you're here. And so the plight of the women's brain, it's the least studied, as I just noted. And then there's not a lot of talk about pre-menopause, perimenopause, post, and giving us information so we can tool up to have the best transition, right, throughout life. And then another aspect is two out of 3 cases of Alzheimer's are women. And so, of course, on my study, my field is creativity, but I can't talk about creativity without talking about the brain. And I can't talk about the brain without saying, how do we keep our brains as healthy as possible so we can be there for our families, for ourselves, and for your organizations that you serve. 7 million cases in the U.S., Alzheimer's totally, and it's projected to double to 14 in 2060. So if it's not affecting you directly, it's affecting you as a caretaker. So that's why this is very important. I do have a podcast called the Create and Grow Your Brain Capital podcast, where I talked to Dr. Harris I, who is a thought leader on the topic, and he talked about brain capital. Everyone say brain capital. Brain capital. I mentioned it 2 years ago. Sorry I wasn't here last year. Did anyone miss me? Anyone miss me? Right? I was actually on Royal Caribbean do my first keynote on like a boat. It was really great. That was the only thing that can take me away from we, right? But brain capital, right? So I'm an educator by trade, so you're going to get, this is going to be huge. If you are in an organization that, especially if you're in the HR department, write this word down. It is coming for you quick. And I'm going to tell you where they're talking about it now and why it's going to be headed your way. Brain capital is, everyone say, brain health and brain skills. Okay? This is what we're focusing on for this next future of work. Brain skills includes adaptability, curiosity, which we'll talk a little bit about today, communication, emotional behavior control, self-awareness, empathy, and what my research is in, creativity. What does it mean to really pump up these skills for your employees? What does it mean to look for these skills in people who you're interviewing for? What does it mean to look for these skills when they don't even know they have these skills in them? And you, I talked about prismatic leadership last time. You are a prismatic leader. You can see the hidden potential in them before they even see it in themselves. That's a leader who's going to have the team that shines. So that is brain skills, right? Your intrapersonal skills. Everyone say brain health? Once again, our brains are under attack health-wise. So we're looking at anxiety, depression, which are directly connected to dementia, neurological disorders. And we're wondering, why are these numbers skyrocketing? If you think this doesn't affect you, it affects someone on your team, it affects someone on your family, it affects someone in your neighborhood, right? And then it's not just about looking at what's attacking the brain, it's looking at how do we optimize the brain from day one. I was speaking to your amazing AV team and team back there, and he just had a little grandchild, right? Yes. And I was like, start building their brain now. If you can prevent dementia in that baby now by what you do. And that's called neural optimization. And so you're optimizing the brain, you're building cognitive reserve. It's not just for the little ones, it's for us now. And so last week I was actually in New York speaking at the United Nations 80th Generally Assembly Brain Days event. And it was top neuroscientists, Heart American Association, brain councils from Canada, Europe, Africa. Every continent was there except Antarctica. And I got to talk about the stuff that I'll be sharing a little bit about today, the importance of the arts. But I also brought my 7-year-old son. And I just, you'd be surprised what an email could do. And I was like, you need a cute kid to introduce the second day because they're talking about youth in the brain, right? Our youth are struggling right now, by the way. This isn't that conference, but we need to be mindful of their mental and emotional and neurological health. And so he got up there and welcomed them. And they loved it, of course, and he did a great job. But he told them what I'm about to tell you right now, that from infants to children to our teens to our young adults, right, especially these transitional periods, and to women going through adulthood, midlife, and entering into post-menopause as well, we need to be mindful of the rainbow. Everyone say, taste the rainbow. Don't eat Skittles, right? But what does it mean by taste the rainbow? Sean and I are putting this together, but we're saying to build an optimized brain that you will need, not just for your job, not just for your family, but for you to go through every stage of your life, fully creative, flourishing. You need to have your rainbow intact, your 7 pillars to build brain capital. Everyone say brain sleep. I don't know about you, but this is an issue for me. I was up at 2 this morning. I'm like, are you serious? Oh my goodness. And whoever was above me was up 2. I heard you, whoever that was. I should tell you my room number. You're like, oh, that was me. But I don't know. I'm 46, so just my body's starting the dance. And so everything is there, but for me, it's sleep. I'm having trouble with my sleep, and sleep is so important. Everyone say brain food. We're talking a little bit about that today. Everyone say brain peace, stress management and stress elimination, chronic stress elimination, brain relationships. All right, and this is in your packet if you do the barcode at the very end. So social relationships, right? We're looking at how isolation affects the brain and how social relationships actually is one of the biggest things that can prevent or delay dementia-causing diseases. And everyone say brain movement, exercising, dance, tai chi, moving, making sure you're doing resistance, right? Just because you're not in high school on the track team doesn't mean you stop lifting weights. Right, and that's no joke. Your ability to keep your muscles a certain way really affects the life and the creativity of your brain. And I could take each one of these and do a half-day workshop on it. But this is just to give you a taste, and then we're going to go into one of them. Everyone say brain mental stimulation, which is creativity. When I say creativity, I don't necessarily mean artistry, but your ability to problem solve. Did anyone solve any problems last week? Right, yeah. So congratulations, you got the dark blue down. And then everyone say brain arts. All right, I gave you the link for women's brain health. They have 6 pillars of brain health. I added 7, number 1, because the colors of the rainbow. And I believe the arts need their own pillar, because what we are finding out about what arts do to your brain. There's a wonderful documentary, and I'll put this link in there, called Alive Inside, where they show going into senior care homes and then bringing music that they love and watching them come back to life. We looked at infants' brains, watching what music does to the brain. So if you play a musical instrument, keep doing it. If you don't, pick up the recorder because it's strengthening your brain to push off neurological diseases that can come up, right? All right, and so that is the 7 pillars of building brain capital. We are building that out, and I love writing curriculum for kids, adults, and older adults. But today we're going to talk about, say it, with passion. All right, I know it's early. Open-minded creativity. All right, we're going to first start, and get ready for some background music, AV. We're going to first start with you showing me what your idea is of open-minded creativity. You have something on your table that looks like this, a furry metal wire stick. If you could pass those out. And I love doing this. Number one, these are cheap and easy to travel with, right? But what does open-minded creativity look like to you if you render it into physical form? Now, if I say, what is love? What shape would you make if I say, show me what love means in a physical form? Heart. Like culturally, we've attached the abstract concept of love to the physical shape of a heart, right? In this culture. If you take the abstract concept of open-minded creative thinking, what does that look like in a physical shape? Does everyone understand what you're doing? Yes? Okay, now, yes. So, and if you don't know what you're doing, just play with the pipe cleaner. All right, background music, and talk to your neighbor. Talk to them about what you're creating and why. Go for it. Share your creations. Share your creations.
Is it love then that we're...
Is it what?
Is it love or
Open-minded.
Okay.
Yeah, what's an open-minded brain? Someone who has an open-minded
Anything.
brain. Yeah.
We started going with the love. We were talking about
Well,
passion. And sort of like,
yeah, the love was just an example because people can understand that concept. But this is a harder one. Oh, what's that one about?
It's a bear.
Okay.
It has one longer leg, and just how it landed. But yeah, I just thought make some type of creature out of it.
And yeah, so I was gonna say, how does that communicate open-minded?
The first thing that came to mind, I was like, I want to use this for something other than just a squiggle, so let me make a character.
And so how do you think a bear communicates? And how do you think a bear communicates open-minded creativity? So that's a good challenge for them. Go. So think of the qualities of a bear, and then how does it attach to that? Okay. Mm-hmm. They're playful. Yeah. Always hungry. Thank you. About one more minute, and then I would love to have a few share outs. About one more minute, and raise your hand if you want to share out. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everyone say hi, Sparky. I brought a few of it, so that's how our little ones get excited about to take care of their brain. Who would like to share their concoction? They're rendered into physical form, and then talk about how does it communicate that. If you could tell me your name and where you're from. Do you mind standing up, or just so people way over there? I know.
Good morning, Maria Gillespie from New York, TE Connectivity. So I just kind of immediately went into thinking of creativity or open-minded creativity. The way we try things, right? And if you want to hold the mic or this, well, you got to hold something for me because I can't do it. All right, thanks. So the thought process is that we try something, right? And we fail, and if we fail, we learn, and then we try again. So it's kind of a constant cycle of being creative. And then, so trying, failing, and learning, hopefully. Takes a few times for some of us, hence why mine is like that. So, and then you just kind of continue that loop, and it just continues to kind of drive creativity in that way, because ideally we're learning from those things that we're trying. So there you go.
Thank you. All right, I see a hand over here. Your name and where you're from? That's right.
Good morning, I'm Crystal, and I'm from the Seattle area. I followed your example of taking something and putting a symbol to it, a physical thing. So I was thinking about open-minded. It's hard to be open-minded and creative. So if you give it a try, if you start small. But once you try it, it gets a little bit easier and a little bit easier and easier until we're wide open.
Wide open spaces. Right? And that's interesting. They had a similar thing, but two completely different summaries of it, right? That is the creative brain. Anyone else? She has hers on her head. Did you care to explain? I have to come to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are my antennae that are always open to the just the nudges that the universe is sending. So.
And very creative people are very sensitive to their surroundings, sensitive to patterns, so sensitive to picking up different things, right? And so another thing I do is I have like the table say, well, how is an antenna open-minded to you? And so you can take the same concept and then you'll have 6 different other perspectives on that one creation. By the way, I say teachers are the biggest thieves. So anything I do, for those of you who lead your own groups or you have you're in a leadership position, which raise your hand if you're in a leadership position. All your hands should be up because you are the leader of you, right? But some of you actually lead other people. And so these are just great, fast, easy ways to get their cognitive flexibility up, right? For them to be able to think of new ideas, their brain has to be able to flip and move and see one concept, and you have 6 different people see the same thing and have 6 different pictures, right? And what does that look like? You have the ocean model. Has anyone heard of the ocean model? Sorry, I'll go back. Ocean model here, and this is the big 5 personality traits. They looked at it, and this is really just well researched and reviewed. And they said conscientiousness, extroversion, introversion, and ambivert, like where are you on that continuum? These are continuums. Agreeableness, right? You can go online and look all of these up. They explain it. But one thing why I brought this in is they said your ability to be open-mindedness, open to new experiences, open to new people, open to engaging in difficult conversations, open to communicating with someone who might have a different point of view, that is directly connected to your level of creative thinking. And I'm also bringing in the point that it helps your brain in mental stimulation, right? Which was one of the 7 pillars, right? To keep your brain optimized, to push away neurological diseases, is when you are open, it increases your creative thinking, but it also keeps your brain strong and optimized. Because your brain, once again, is beautiful, And it has these beautiful, diverse perspectives. And when you think of diversity in your brain, have you ever thought about that? Is my brain diverse? When you think of perspectives, looking at people with different perspectives, that it actually creates new pathways. Every experience you have, every conversation you had down at dinner last night, breakfast this morning, whose first time is it here at this hotel? Your brain had to be like, okay, this is a new space. The hallway's over there. Your brain had to map this space out. So just by coming to a new location, you are building new pathways. But think about it if you took it up 10 times and you met. I love the fact, great planning. The leadership team of this group is so amazing. They're like my heroes by putting you at places with people who you didn't come here with. That by itself is a creative act because they're forcing you to meet new people, to see where they're coming from, to see what experiences they have, and to see how something that I say landed with you one way and landed with her a completely different way because of your lived experiences. So diverse perspectives creates diversity in your brain, which strengthens your brain to ward off neurological issues in the future. So keep that in mind, that if you want to build a well-connected brain, coming to events like this, meeting new people, picking up the flute, things like that, just trying new things is very important. And another thing that you'll be doing throughout the few days is challenging your curiosity and challenging your thinking. And I'm here to make sure you understand that when you engage in that, that's a tool for your innovation strategy, right? It's all about reframing. Does anyone know this character? Right. Well, he's like my diamond clue now. Well, this is the 1960 version of him. And apparently he had what around his waist? A tool belt, right? And for those of you who may have seen the earlier versions, like in any situation he was in, he had some type of tool, right? He was like, oh, well, this calls for a nickety-knack, right? And there it was. And we United is bringing you here together so you can make sure your tool belt is fully equipped. Because the situations you're going to be leaving into on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whenever you leave the area, you're going to need some new tools. AI is here. I used to say, AI is coming. AI is coming. It's not coming. Está aquí, right? I studied in Costa Rica and España, so it'll come out every now and then. But it's here. And then, like I said, I was at the World Economic Forum, and I'm in the back just taking notes, and you have your leaders from around the country saying, this is huge. We need to get this to the people, and that's why I'm here trying to be the bridge of getting the research from the neuroscience labs to the people and not wait a year or 3 years, right? Because we need to have the tools. So how do you tool your employees up? How do you make sure they have the 7 pillars straight? How do you work that strategy into your programs, right? Your onboarding, your lifespan in the middle, and then when they exit, how do you make sure their brains are built? Not just to survive, but to flourish. What does that look like? And so you have something called your RAS. Everyone say RAS. Your reticular activating system. And when the topics come up that you'll be talking about this week, you'll be talking about on your job, and especially right now, we're in an intense political climate, your reticular activating system wants to go with what you know. What do I know? What do I believe? Who confirms my belief? Where am I comfortable? Where do I have the most I don't have to work too hard. But if you're asking your brain to be creative, if you're asking your brain to reach out to meet new people, you're asking your brain to do more work. And who remembers the percentage of metabolic energy your brain takes up? 20%. You have this whole body, and this little organ, 3-pound organ, is taking 20%. Some of you are CFOs. Any financial folks in here? Right? Yes. What would you say to that, right? Like, how is this using up 20%? And so this is a very costly organ. And so in order for you to make sure it's optimized, you being intentional about this, right? You being intentional about telling your reticular activating system, I know you want to stay with the familiar. I know you want to stay with what you know. Have you ever bought a car and then now you see the car everywhere? That's your reticular activating system. Because before, my Kia Optima didn't mean anything because I would see them and I wouldn't recognize it. But once I purchased a Kia Optima, my reticular activating system says, oh, this is now part of your life. Pay attention to it, right? Have you ever been in a conversation and you hear your name across the room? Because your name is important to you. It's the most beautiful, beautiful word to your brain. So if someone says, Sarah, you're like, what? Who? Someone said my name. Because, and there's many reasons for that. But now I'm asking for you to say, okay, reticular activating system, let's get into some new situations. Let's entertain some new ideas and let's get some new stories so we can keep our brain strong. So true open-minded curiosity, a true creative, questions what they're unsure of. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you're in a new situation. Tell your partner, someone at your table, when was the last time you did something for the first time? I'm going to give you a few minutes to talk about that. Background music, when was the last time you did something for the first time? The last time you put yourself in a new situation?
It's a little complicated, all tied up, no more love, and I'd hate to see you waiting. They say it's all been done, but they haven't seen the best of me.
One more minute. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. My brain is beautiful to me. All right. Who would like to share the last thing you did, or the last thing you did for the first time? How do you say that? Would anyone like to share? Does anyone have a story that? Okay. Oh, you're a name and where
Oh, do I need to stand up as well? All right. Hello, my name's Angel Dutra. I'm from Boise, Idaho, representing EE Tech. Sunday, I made my very first plum jam. I've never canned before, so it was a very extensive process, but it was so rewarding, and now I have all this beautiful jam I get to give away at Christmas, so.
And there's a beautiful thing when you make something and you give it away. I remember hearing a story about a family who was going through hard times, and one Christmas they were like, we just can't buy gifts, so everyone has to choose somebody and make something. And of course, they did better, growing up. But they're like, we're in our 40s and everything, and it's that Christmas that they remember, where everyone had to physically make something from their creative heart and give it to someone. So keep that in mind for if you're looking for any innovative holiday things. If you can add more creative aspects into the giving, as opposed to just letting them buy something, it not only helps the person who's making it, because you're challenging their thinking, but it strengthens the bond, right? That oxytocin connection between who they're giving it to. Does anyone else, is that a hand over there? Or are you just, right? I'm just making sure I look good. All right, we have someone over here. Hi, Miss Kelsey, how are you? Okay, good. Yes. Oh, okay. I knew someone at this table.
Hi, I'm Julie Liu. I'm from Winchester Interconnect. So a couple weeks ago, it was the first time I ever had to program a computer switch, and I had no idea how to do it. I was like, what do I do? But thank God for Google and AI, because it told me how to do it, and I just got it done. I was like, oh, well, now I know how to do that.
And so another aspect, does anyone, okay, and so my last hand over there, another aspect I want to make sure you're aware of is that builds resilience and something, cognitive reserve. So you had this issue, you had to attack instead of just, whiling out and screaming, you put steps into play to figure it out. And so the next time you have an issue, you already have that memory of saying, if I did this, now I can do that. And that's why I believe it's an injustice to be doing everything for our kids, because you're robbing them of the experience of coming up, brushing themselves off, and keeping it going. Remember that scandal in 2019 where the parents were writing checks to get their kids into the back door of high-profile universities? People were focused on the parents. My heart broke for the kids. Because what are you communicating if I say, okay, you're not good enough to get a USC, let me do all this stuff and cheat and have you do this stuff? I'm saying I'm not believing in your ability. And even if you don't get into, you say, okay, I didn't get into my dream school, what next? These are the skills they need. So when you shoot them off into their adulthood, they're not going out with a brain that has no ability to be resilient.
Hi, everyone. My name's Elizabeth. I work for Amphenol Aerospace, and I'm here from upstate New York. Thank you. I've been at Amphenol for almost 10 years, and for the first time in 10 years, I decided to join the women's group. And now this is my first We United, so I'm really excited to be here.
Can we actually have, whose first time is it here? Today's your first time? Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Did anyone come here by themselves? Raise your hand if you're by themselves. Look around who came by themselves and make sure we say hi. Give them all a round of applause. Everyone. Yes. And thank you. Have a seat. Have a seat. Who's been here about 1 to 5 years? You've been coming about 1 to 5 years. Stand up. Stand up. All right. You're like, I'm going to stay with this group. Here we are. Give them a round of applause as well. And who's been here? How long have you been having this? 9. Okay. So anyone from 6 to 9 years? 6 to 9 years. Like you were here at the first one. And anyone? All right. Thank you. And then anyone didn't stand up, please stand so we can clap for you because I don't know who I missed. Right? And so that's something, once again, we're preserved. Menopause, we're like, menopause, but it's preserving us to be here to pass it on. Right? I'm actually very grateful I actually got to meet my great-grandmother and have a memory of her, you know? But it just made me reframe this interesting transition I'm starting because I pray that I get to meet my grandchildren. I had my son at 38, so we'll see if he gets married earlier. But, you know, just like I would love that, to pass it on, right? And that's why I write books, because even I can pass on my knowledge to, I have books now literally around the world because we pass them out at the United Nations. And so now they're on every continent except Antarctica. Gotta get to Antarctica. All right? But if you have true open-minded curiosity, especially for the rest of this adventure we're doing here in Balboa, you are aware of that there's things I don't know. There's a new term called intellectual humility, right? Of like, I think I know, but I might not know. I might have an idea, but there might be a small percentage that I might not know. So understanding that everyone is there. And also, let me go back. But you also recognize when valid evidence is presented to change your mind. That is key. If you're going to keep progressing, especially as technology is swooping as fast as it is, you having the ability to question what you're unsure of, to have intellectual humility and curiosity, but also to understand when there's enough valid evidence to say, oh, wow, I never considered that. Or I never thought about it that way. Right? When I bring up the point that creativity isn't only artistry, I have a lot of people coming up saying, yeah, when I think of creativity, I think of painting and dancing and music. I never thought creativity was in programming a computer. Right? Someone planned their wedding for under $5,000. Now that's creative. Right? And so we have to release this word to everyone. It's not just for the professional artists, because it's really holding us back and it's holding your team members back. And so there's things that you do that support that, but there's things that you do that you might be squashing their creativity without even knowing it. For your team members, any children, or anyone under your authoritative sphere, and squashing their curiosity. So I'm here to say, with a kind heart, what things can we be aware of to develop it and not squash it? So being mindful of that. So we're here this weekend to practice challenged curiosity. So one way, right, we're all about takeaways. So you can write this down, my note takers. Seek stories. I call it Uber University. When I get picked up by the airport, I did it today. A man named Leonardo picked me up, right? Long hair, kind of scuffy, whatever. His car is a little bit old. Most fascinating stories I've ever heard, right? This is why you can't judge from outward appearances, and we shouldn't. Because when we judge, we block off right away. And that's what the brain wants to do. Your brain's just trying to protect you and save energy. And so if it sees something, you're right. I used to have a thing with tattoos, like just, the blanket tattoos, usually on men. But if someone got my story, I was raised in an area where when someone had a lot of blanket tattoos, it usually meant gang affiliation. So now when I see a man with blanket tattoos, kindest man ever, my brain goes to that, right? So this is why self-awareness is so important, because I had to do the work of saying I have to uncouple that, because it's affecting my relationship. Another man who grew up in an Asian country, I believe he was Japanese, he's now in America, has a team under him, but he was the youngest in his family, and in some Asian cultures, the hierarchy of the children are very important. And so now he's leading people who are older than him, and it affected his leadership because of how he grew up. And they didn't pay him any attention. He's the youngest, you're seen, not heard. And now you want me to lead people over here who are older than me. Self-awareness, do the work. So we have to challenge the curiosity. Seek stories. And then what she's doing, review and reflect. which is once again the leadership team of We. Kudos for me. If I had a sticker, I would give you one, because your pamphlets have some really intensive, wonderful reflections. And I'm here to reframe this. When you do that pamphlet and you take it seriously, you are building neural networks in your brain. You are fortifying your brain against neurological diseases. That's why one of the pillars is mental stimulation, lifelong learning. That's why you really need to tap into the opportunities and the programs We has, because they're trying to make sure that pillar's solid for you, right? All right, so I'm a huge Lincoln nut, and there's a book that I have on my nightstand right now called Differ We Must. And I love this book because it looks at the friendship between President Lincoln and one of his friends who actually was a slave owner. And it just talked about how Lincoln, of course, he's a politician, so, that's just what they do, but how he was able to connect with people because he looked at where they were coming from. It's like, okay, well, what is your cultural lens around this? And even though, and I don't agree, and I'm not saying you have to agree with everything you hear, but he was able to listen to stories and see what background information is producing that position. And so this book talks about how he was able to do what he did by his ability to be open-minded and make connections, even though he didn't agree with everyone that he met, but he was still able to get things done. And so this is the book that we just published this year, I Am Creative, Preventing Dementia and Building Brain Capital with Neurosomatic Creativity. And in this book, it says, when meeting different people from places old and new, I start to see what they see and broaden my worldview. Right? And I say I co-authored this book with my son because he did everything in this book except this page. He was never in a hot air balloon without adult supervision. But I love it because we call them inner child books because they look like children's books, but they're actually for adults to really think deeply about these concepts. And it's like, wait, do I meet different people from places old and new? For some of you, this is your 5th, 6th, 7th year here, right? But for some of you, this is a new place. Do I broaden my worldview? And so we are really looking at the curiosity of hope. I have another reframe for you. Who knows another place where your curiosity is hidden? Who thought, wait, she's talking about curiosity and optimism and hope and our brain, but what is she talking about my tummy for? What? This is how the science is going to revolutionize your workplace, your family, your home, the way you do things, because it's already doing it for mine. It is in your gut. Has anyone heard of the gut-brain axis connection? Yes, we'll start doing more research on that because it is the next wave. So, but I want to attach it to your curiosity. 95% of your serotonin, which is connected to your mood, right? Some depressive states and just mood disorders or mood elevations, all of that, serotonin's there. We normally think it's produced in the brain. 95 is produced here. In fact, you can even have a gut change if you just put your hand right here and just breathe. I saw that, so if you need to relax yourself here, but once you leave this area, or once you leave this conference, you're going to be more mindful of this area because it is a part of how you are experiencing life. Gut-derived serotonin influences nutrient absorption and inflammatory responses. If your brain is inflamed, are you able to be creative? If your brain and your body is inflamed, are you able to reach out to people who you may not know well and may not be able to predict their behavior, which takes more energy? And so once again, making sure you have, and there's a wonderful book, and I'll put it in the resource list, the Healthy Brain Cookbook by Dr. Ann. right? I just got it. I love it. Have you heard of it? But Dr. Ann, and I'll put it on the resource list. I didn't this morning, but she has wonderful just background of the best things to make sure your brain is strong. And changes in the gut microbiome can affect serotonin levels and link to mood disorders. But the one that affects your curiosity is your dopamine. Because dopamine is the neurotransmitter that it doesn't happen when you get the reward, it happens on the way to it. Have you ever been excited, or actually this event, were you, like 2 weeks ago, were you excited to get here? Right? You were thinking about it, you were making your plans, you were maybe calling your co-workers, right? That's your dopamine revving up, waiting for this reward. It doesn't happen when you get here, it happens in the planning, you getting excited for it. But your dopamine plays a crucial role in your GI tract. And so dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is also part of your motivation and your reward and your pleasure elements. And so if you're having issues with these areas, be aware of what you're putting into your tummy. Be aware of what you're eating because it is affecting your ability to be curious. Have you ever made that connection before? My curiosity, right? Because if creativity drives innovation, curiosity drives creativity. So your creativity is affected by what you eat. After we had a great breakfast this morning, thank you, right? but just be mindful, some of the things I'm like, it may be hard to take, but I have to be honest. I don't want to not be truthful, right? And so being mindful of that. So seeds of creativity, being mindful of, this isn't a topic about food. This isn't a talk about food. I think they had someone here 2 years ago talking about that. And that's definitely something to keep on your radar. But just elements like magnesium, right? We went through a lecture that talked about your leg strength and magnesium and what does it look like. So your nuts, your seeds, avocado, right? Your healthy oils. That affects the way you lead. I'm here to make that bridge for you. So your neurological health, your identity, your memories, all of that is affected. All of this is connected. So it's a silent conductor of your nerve strength and your muscle protection. Your legs need more magnesium to stay strong. And don't forget, a big issue with our older individuals is falling, right? And so you keeping your legs strong is really important for you moving throughout life. So even using your own body weight to just do that safely, of course. I brought my little majiggies, like the stretch rope, right? And so this is so important because we're seeing how it's all connected. Our dementia risk, brain optimization, our creativity, our curiosity, our way of leading, and all of that good. So if magnesium is the body's mineral of movement, curiosity is the mind's mineral of movement. Who woke up and did 15 minutes of curiosity training today? Anyone? Right? And so with that, I'm all about giving you resources. There's something called the Pointer Study. And you have this in your resource list at the end. And what it did is they looked at 1,000 individuals, people who did not have any dementia neurological issues, but they were on their way, they were at risk. And they intervened. They did, of course, like a normal psychological study where they had a control group and then this group. But they said, we have our 7 pillars. They kept it to 4. These areas were crucial to keep the brain strong and creative and curious and to lower their risk of neurological disease. So physical exercise, cognitive exercise, what you're doing this week, and nutrition. And of course, making sure you know your numbers. And so keeping that in mind. And so truly knowing the power of your brain, I want you to take a few minutes with your table. And have you ever thought about your brain and the interconnectedness. Your brain, your gut, your brain, your heart, your brain, other people. I'm influencing your brain right now. I have literally reached into all of your heads and changed your brain. Voila! Right? Unless you totally tune me out, which why would you pay money to be here if you're not listening to the speaker? Right? But you when you talk to her and give her new stories and share your experiences, her brain is literally rewiring to take in your experiences, and your experiences become hers. So talk amongst your table. Any ahas so far that I've shared? Go for it.
Mama said, fulfill the prophecy, be something great. Go make a legacy, manifest destiny. Back in the days, we wanted everything, wanted everything. Mama said, burn your biographies, rewrite your history, light up your wildest dreams, museum victories. Every day, we wanted everything, wanted everything. Mama said, don't give up, it's a little complicated, all tied up. No more love, and I'd hate to see you waiting. Had to have high hopes for a living, shooting for the stars, but I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes. Mama said, something for oddities, stranger possess. Ain't ever wannabes, waiting the novelties that don't ever change. We wanted everything, wanted everything. Stay up on that rise, stay up on that rise, never come down. Oh, stay up on that rise, stay up on that rise, never come down. Mama said, don't give up, it's a little complicated, all tied up. No more love. Shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high.
One more minute. One more minute.
Always had a feeling I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had hopes for a living. Shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had
All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, once again, I don't want to be the only one changing your physical brains. Does anyone wish to share any ahas or anything that either you said or you heard someone at your table say? Yes. Name and org. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm Karen Collins. I'm with Waldom out of Illinois. So what I was talking about was last year I had a mother that passed away and she had Alzheimer's. So having this process has made me change this last year, realizing taking the right vitamins, taking care of your body, exercising, movement, how important that muscle is. So that's what, has made me be different this year, and I believe also has opened up being able to think differently.
Yeah, and the thing is, for you to have that behavior change in your life, and then also communicating it to people in your sphere, Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So thank you for sharing that. Yes. And then.
Hi, I'm Ann Taylor with Vichet, and I couldn't help myself because I was saying to the table, one of the wonderful things about all of us being together is we can have this conversation. We can talk about it, and the reality of it is we shouldn't feel guilty about the priority that we make on taking care of ourselves. It's a reality because we're so busy taking care of everyone and making sure everything happens. But what we do for ourselves, we owe it to ourselves. So we're happy to have the conversation.
And thank you, Jackie, and the We Lead leadership team for creating a space. You know, it takes a lot of creativity to create a space, and even the small like little thing, you know, just the blankets, you know, that's around. Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure. Okay. So I'm Brenda Covarrubias from Acreus, from Phoenix, and I was just sharing with my table a little bit of my story. I had a complete transformation of my life 5 years ago. So I felt like I was the worst mom ever. I screamed and yelled at my children. They would innocently come to me and ask a question, and I would just scream at them. And the screaming and yelling and the chaos in the house, I don't know what it was, but one day I just woke up and I needed to take care of myself. I was lost. I was a mom. I worked long hours. I was a wife. But who was I? I was like 30 pounds overweight. I was constantly sad. I never called myself depressed, but very, very sad and just moody and irritable, just screaming, literally screaming. I can't even describe it. But one day I woke up and I'm like, I have to take care of myself. And thank goodness a friend of mine was actually in the health wellness area. And I said, I don't know what you do, but I need help. So just being able to go through understanding the type of foods that inflame me, because what inflames me may not inflame you, right? So just kind of taking care of myself and working out, making sure I'm drinking my water every day. And I'm a big movement person. You move your body every single day. You start your day with moving your body and drinking your water. But it really does come to I'm taking care of myself first, because if I can't, then I can't take care of this other people with quality and love around me. So sorry for the long-winded, but like I said, I woke up one day and just like, I need to take care of myself.
And wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. And once again, this isn't like, okay, now do these 52 things tomorrow, right? But, you know, at the end, as we wrap up, you know, what's that one thing? She actually gave you like 4, right, that you could choose from. You know, I'm going to increase my water intake, or I'm going to maybe start my day with more berries. Berries are wonderful, by the way. Blackberries. I know blueberries get the like, but blackberries are cool too. You know, but and for those of you who are in your sphere, you have authoritative presence over other human beings. Like my son, I just started, once I was doing my research, just inserting it into my parenthood. Like, hey, Sean, well, what are some brain-building foods that we can be eating today? Hey, Sean, when we go to sleep, and if you see some of the links that I share with you on the research page, you know, he's seeing sweep up the toxins, because that's what's happening when you go to sleep and you get into your third and fourth phase of sleep. Your brain is actually bringing out the car wash. And it's sweeping out all of those tangles, taus, amyloid beta that is actually present in someone who has Alzheimer's. But so that's why, number one, sleep is very important, and that's why I got to figure out my issue. but I'm inserting it into his normal way of thinking as a child, or if you have children or nieces and nephews or neighborhood kids, or you're at your faith base. So I'm trying to be strategic. I'm right there with you, right? Because we're in a culture where it's really just not brain friendly, right? We work a lot. There's fast food restaurants on every corner, and so we now have to be more intentional, as she said, of how do I make sure that when I'm 96, and hopefully you share that, when I'm 96, I'm at full cognitive ability, right? As much as possible. And it's the things that I do at 46, because Alzheimer's actually starts showing up in the brain in midlife. Alzheimer's is a midlife illness where the symptoms show up in the elderly years. So if you're late 30s, 40s, this is your awareness, right? And so that's why with Lyrics and Leadership and with our Brain Alicia's Adventures, we're targeting people who are coming out of college, like the young lady that I met last night, because it's those behaviors that they're starting as they're starting their. So those of you who are in your HR, what are these brain building behaviors that you can really get your people aware of as they're starting their work life season? Right? And they're starting their behaviors that they'll carry into their 30s and 40s and on, right? That's the time to get them, because it's a new time of life, right? As well as getting them in their childhood years as well. And so you have, of course, if you see Genein on the roster, you're going to have like pipe cleaners and Play-Doh and stuff on your desk. You're like, oh, Genein's here. So you have a block. Can my teacher helpers pass out those blocks, please? You have blocks on your desk. You have blocks, so pass out the blocks. There you go. Awesome. Well, because the brain learns best, if there is, John Locke said this. He said sensation and reflection. So you're going to be reflecting. You don't have to reflect on Mind Talk because you have a lot of speakers throughout these days. But think of an image. Julie Taymor is the director of the Broadway show Lion King, and she talked about the circle. When you think about the Lion King play, the essence of it is the circle, right? So if we were talking about that, we would draw the circle. So when you hear your speakers, think about the essence, the image that would be. In the book, we say, sometimes the world feels giant, my thinking really scatters, but when I keep it simple, I see what truly matters. I see what truly matters. And so that is your assignment of, as you hear different speakers, and talk to your neighbors about it too. So the last thing we're going to do is, I need you to make my brain stronger. If you can grab your phones and scan this. We can have some background music, or does this play? Does that play? I don't know. That plays. Okay, there we go. But you can turn this down a little bit. Thank you. If you could fill this out for me and just tell me what landed for you, and then we're going to wrap it up and move on to the next presentation. And if you can't scan it, it's also on my profile in the app too. If you go to my links, it's the one that says talk. And there's a website there too. About 30 more seconds. Sorry, there's so many questions. I need to take some of those off. Someone's like, we have too many questions on here. I'm an educator. Data is king, right? Or queen, right? Data is queen. All right. So just to be mindful of the clock, and you're amazing. I'm so excited for your day. I was just like, to be a speaker is fun because I'm not the speaker that says, okay, thank you. And then I run off and go catch a plane. I'm around these amazing people, and they gather some amazing thought leaders. So I'm like, I'm going to stay and learn myself. Why? Because of my brain. And the cool thing is I'm a keynote speaker because I talk about creativity in the brain. So I did a women's hair makeup conference, and then I'm in healthcare, and then I did some training for a few of you, right? I've trained a few. DigiKey and there's TTI or someone over here. So I'm in all these different fields, and I'm a neuroscience field, and then I just stay and listen to the sessions about AI and fMRIs. I'm just in the back. I have no reason of being there, but that's really what will get your people creative. Send your employees out to places where they have no business being, and then have them make connections and then come and share. That is creativity. And so as we end, you can share during your break, and I'll be in the back selling books. I have the My Brain, My Beautiful Brain, and then the I Am Creative, and then some other business books as well. And then we have our adult, this is for individuals, this isn't the corporate training, but I was like, how do we teach brain health in a fun way? Well, people love musicians. Why don't we teach brain health through the music? Imagine singing Diamonds and Pearls and then learning about emotional regulation. If you listen to the lyrics of Prince, he was pretty deep, right? Listen to the Michael Jackson song I just sang, right? Think about what they're saying. And so we're doing that, and Dolly Parton's 9 to 5. Have you listened to those lyrics? That should be a theme song for next song, for next year. She's just working 9 to 5. She knows there's more to life, and the man keeps pushing her down. How does she stand up on her 2 feet? Really start to listen to these lyrics. And then, of course, we have our K through 6 Brain Alicious. And so I'm just here to say, you are beautiful. Everyone say, I am beautiful. And so is my brain. Oh, give me more power. I am beautiful. And so is my brain.